We've all been there. You're stuck in this dynamic, maybe a relationship that's gone completely sour or a hostile workplace, and it just feels like a trap.
Oh, absolutely. And your immediate instinct is to just sort of fight your way out, right?
Yeah,
To pick the lock.
exactly. But today's deep dive into a really striking piece of visual art suggests that that fighting instinct is actually what keeps the door shut.
It is definitely a counterintuitive take.
Yeah.
So we are analyzing this graphic by a creator known as Ivashevicki. And it is not subtle art. You have this really gritty, rusted padlock stamped with a skull and crossbones.
And right next to it, there's this empty bowl with just a few dry bones inside. It looks like a warning sign on a dungeon door.
Right, but the text overlaid on the image actually argues that this dungeon isn't keeping you in. You might actually be keeping it alive.
Because the core premise here is, well, it's simple. Sometimes the best way to deal with a toxic situation is to just let it starve.
Let it starve. That is the pivotal concept here. The source is arguing that toxicity isn't some perpetual motion machine. It is an organism. It has biological needs, and if it doesn't eat, it dies.
Which sounds great in theory, but let's get practical for a second. In the heat of the moment when someone is actively provoking you, starving them feels like doing nothing.
Like you're losing.
Yeah, it feels like you're losing the fight.
And that is where the source really distinguishes between passivity and strategy. It offers a specific mantra to achieve this starvation. No response, no action, no reaction.
I want to drill down on those a bit because to me, response and reaction sound like the exact same thing. What's the actual difference in this context?
So think of response as your external engagement. Replying to that nasty text, arguing back, defending your point of view. No response cuts that external cord.
Okay, so then reaction is...
Reaction is internal and emotional. It's letting them see that they've gotten under your skin.
Ah, got it. So no response is the silence, but no reaction is the poker face.
Precisely. And then no action covers the retaliation part, like plotting revenge or even trying to fix the person. The source puts it super bluntly. It just says, simple, just don't feed it.
Which ties right back to that empty bowl in the image. The metaphor suggests that your attention, whether it's positive or negative, is the food.
It's the currency. In a toxic loop, the other party often doesn't even care if you are screaming or crying, just as long as you are engaged. You are providing fuel.
So when you implement no response, no action, no reaction, you aren't just ignoring them, you are actively removing their food source.
Right, you are turning that bowl into the image we see, just empty, dry bones.
It completely changes the power dynamic. Instead of being the victim of the lock, you become the controller of the supply chain.
And that is the key the source talks about. The text explicitly says that's the key to a toxic situation lock. We usually think the key to a rusty, scary lock like that is force.
Right, like bolt cutters or dynamite or a massive argument to just clear the air.
But the source implies the key is the absolute absence of engagement. The lock only holds as long as you try to wrestle with it. It's a paradox. To open the lock, you have to stop touching it.
That is incredibly difficult to execute, though. It reminds me of the gray rock method, where you become so boring that the toxic person just loses interest. But that takes an immense amount of self-control.
It does take control, but framing it as starvation really helps. It reminds you that every single time you slip up, every time you send that angry text or roll your eyes, you are putting fresh meat right back in the bowl.
You're resetting the clock on their starvation. So the takeaway here isn't about forgiveness or making peace. It's about a strategic withdrawal of resources.
Exactly. Doing nothing is actually the most aggressive, powerful move you can make against toxicity. It turns your silence into a fortress.
Before we wrap up, I want to pivot to the aftermath. If this strategy works and the toxic situation finally starves to death, you are left with a lot of surplus food.
And that is the perfect question to leave our listener with. You have been pouring massive amounts of response, action, and reaction into this black hole.
Right.
So if you stop feeding the toxicity today, right now, what new positive thing in your life will you finally have the energy to feed instead?
That is a highly provocative question to end on. Thanks for breaking this down.
Anytime.